She was just 16 with worn sneakers and a faded backpack. No one knew her. No one expected her. But today, she walked into the Billionaire's boardroom and said, "I am the new heir of this company." Everyone laughed, until the truth hit them. The boardroom of Bradley and Hunt Global Inc. was a place where silence ruled like law. Thick glass walls shut out the world below, trapping only power inside. 12 executives sat around a long marble table, each in a tailored suit, each carrying the confidence of a man who believed nothing could ever shock him. At the head of the table sat Charles Bradley, Billionaire CEO, silver hair slicked back. Jaw sharp, his voice was calm in a way that made others panic before he ever lifted a brow. The quarterly review was underway. Profits rising, projects expanding, everything predictable. Then the double doors slammed open. Every head turned at once. A girl stood in the doorway. 16, black, slim but steady. A faded denim backpack hung from one shoulder. Her sneakers were so worn the fabric looked tired. A gray hoodie made her look like she belonged in a classroom, not in the top floor of one of America's most powerful corporations. But her eyes told another story, sharp, focused, ready. She took a breath and stepped forward. "My name is Maya Carter. I need to speak to Mr. Bradley." Her voice did not shake. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then soft, cruel laughter broke through the room. "A child interrupting a kingdom?" One executive whispered, "Security will remove her in seconds." Another smirked, "Wrong floor, kid." Charles did not laugh. He watched her quietly, the way he observed every threat he did not understand. "You are not supposed to be here," he said. "I know," Maya replied. "But I have a right to be." More snickering followed. Charles leaned back. "And what right is that?" Maya steadied herself. "I am here for my inheritance. From this company." The room froze. Then laughter erupted again, louder than before. Even the security guard moved as if preparing to escort her out. Charles tapped a finger on the table. "Inheritance from Bradley and Hunt." "Yes," Maya said without hesitation. The CFO, Gregory Mills, scoffed. "Do you have any idea where you are? This company is worth billions." "I know exactly where I am," Maya said. "And I know exactly who I am." That answer made Charles rise from his chair. His presence filled the entire room. "You cannot make claims in a place like this," he said slowly, without proof or identity. He lifted a hand toward security. Before he could finish, Maya stepped forward. She unzipped her backpack, hands trembling only slightly, and pulled out a thick brown envelope. She placed it on the table carefully, almost ceremonially. "Before you remove me," she said, "you need to see these." Annoyed glances passed between executives, but the CFO opened the envelope. He removed a stack of documents and scanned the first page, then the second. His expression collapsed. The smirk vanished. Shock replaced confidence. Birth certificate, court-sealed guardianship papers, a letter written 16 years ago, a legal declaration signed by a name every man in that room knew. Charles reached for the papers. His face hardened as he read. "This is not possible," he whispered. "It is," Maya said. "My grandmother kept everything. She waited until I turned 16. She told me the truth last month. She said this company owes me what my father left behind." Whispers erupted. "Father, co-founder, left behind." Charles lowered his voice. "Tell me his name." Maya exhaled. "My father was Michael Hunt." Silence hit the room. No laughter, no smirks, no movement. Michael Hunt, the missing co-founder, the man whose disappearance reshaped everything. Charles slowly sat down, his eyes fixed on Maya. "If you are telling the truth," he said, "everything changes." "I am telling the truth," Maya replied. The guard lowered his hand, and Maya Carter stood exactly where she was meant to stand. The boardroom stayed silent long after Maya spoke her father's name. It was the kind of silence that felt heavy, like the air itself had turned into stone. Every executive stared at her as if she had stepped out of a ghost story. Michael Hunt, the man who was supposed to inherit half the company, the man who had vanished without a trace 16 years earlier. Charles Bradley finally leaned back in his chair, his fingers tapping the armrest in a slow, controlled rhythm. The tapping was the only sound in the room. "So," he said, "you believe you are Michael Hunt's daughter." "I am his daughter," Maya replied. Charles studied her face. There was tension behind his eyes, something deeper than skepticism, something like fear. He closed the folder again and placed both hands on the table. "Why come here now? Why not sooner?" Maya hesitated. She had rehearsed this conversation 100 times in her mind. But now, standing in this room full of people who clearly wanted her gone, the truth felt heavier than she expected. My grandmother told me on my birthday. She said she promised my father she would keep it secret until I turned 16. She said the company was not safe for me before that. Gregory Mills, the CFO, scoffed. Not safe? From what? Maya's jaw tightened. From people who did not want my father's child to ever claim anything. A wave of murmurs spread around the table. One executive whispered to another. Charles heard it anyway. She is talking about us. He slammed his hand on the table. The sound cracked through the room. Everyone fell silent. Nobody says another word. Maya did not flinch. She kept her eyes on Charles. My grandmother said my father left because something was wrong inside this company. She said he tried to expose something but disappeared before he could. Charles stiffened. The executives shifted in their seats, uncomfortable. Expose what? Charles asked. Maya shook her head. I do not know yet. Whatever it was, it scared her. And she said the danger never went away. The tension in the room rose like a storm. Charles took a slow breath. Then he stood up again and walked toward the window behind him. The city stretched out below. Tall buildings. Busy streets. A world that did not care about inheritance or old secrets. When he finally turned back, his voice was calmer. Maya, he said, these documents need verification. Until then, you are not walking into this company claiming anything. If this is real, then we will handle it properly. If it is not, you will leave here without causing any more trouble. Maya nodded. I understand, but I also know my father wanted me to find the truth, and I am not going anywhere until I do. Charles stared at her for a long moment. Security will escort you to a waiting room. He paused. And Maya, do not speak to anyone, not yet. 2 guards approached her gently. Not rough, not hostile. They were confused too. As Maya walked out, she could feel the eyes behind her. Some annoyed, some threatened, some frightened. She did not know who she could trust. Not yet. But she knew one thing. She had stepped into the world her father once tried to escape. And somewhere inside this company was the truth he died trying to protect. That truth had waited 16 years. Now it was waiting for her. The waiting room was quiet, lined with leather chairs and tall indoor plants that looked perfectly shaped. Too perfect. Like someone trimmed every leaf to impress visitors. Maya sat near the window, her backpack on her lap. Fingers twisting the strap again and again. Her heart was still racing from the confrontation in the boardroom. She knew she had made it this far, but the hardest part was still ahead. Proving she was Michael Hunt's daughter would shake the company to its core. And not everyone wanted that to happen. She kept rethinking her grandmother's final warning. Trust is dangerous in that building. After 20 minutes, the door opened and a woman in a black suit stepped inside. Sharp heels, sharp eyes, sharp voice. Maya Carter, come with me. Mr. Bradley wants something confirmed. Maya stood up and followed her through a long hallway. The woman did not speak. Her steps were quick and precise. They passed portraits of past founders, gold plaques, and glass doors with private access labels. Maya noticed one thing. She did not see any picture of her father. The woman stopped at a door marked East Wing. Restricted personnel only. Inside, she said. Maya stepped in. The room was larger than she expected. A private executive office, but it felt frozen in time. Dust on the shelves. A layer of untouched papers on the desk. A broken clock on the wall stuck at a strange time. The woman stayed at the door. She did not enter. Maya slowly walked forward. Whose office is this? The woman finally answered. It belonged to your father. Maya felt her breath catch. The air in the room felt different, heavy with something unspoken. Why is it locked? The woman hesitated, choosing her words carefully. When Michael Hunt went missing, Mr. Bradley ordered this room sealed. Nobody has touched it since. Maya stepped closer to the desk. Her fingers hovered over the dusty surface. She felt a strange pull, like the room itself was holding its breath. Where is Mr. Bradley? She asked. The woman did not move. He is coming! He wants you to see something before he arrives. Maya turned toward the shelves, books, old files, notebooks with her father's initials. As she reached for one, the woman spoke again. Do not touch anything yet. Her tone was too sharp this time. Too nervous. Maya stepped back. Why not? Because... The woman paused. Her eyes hardened. Because someone in this company does not want you here. And until Mr. Bradley arrives, this room is the safest place for you. Maya felt a chill run through her body. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Before she could ask another question, the hallway outside echoed with quick footsteps. Heavy footsteps. Someone was coming fast. The woman stiffened. She stepped inside the office and quietly reached for the lights, turning them off until the room was dim. "Stay behind the desk," she whispered. "Now." Maya moved quickly, her heartbeat pounding in her chest. The footsteps grew louder, closer. The doorknob jerked violently. Then someone tried to force the door open, and Maya realized her grandmother had not been exaggerating. This company held secrets that were dangerous. Dangerous enough that someone did not want her staying alive long enough to uncover them. The doorknob shook again, harder. This time, as if the person outside was losing patience. Maya crouched behind her father's old desk, palms pressed to the floor to steady herself. Her heartbeat thudded so loudly she feared it might echo through the wood. The woman in the black suit, still positioned near the door, lifted a hand, signaling Maya to stay absolutely still. Her calm expression from earlier was gone. Now she looked tense, alert, like someone who had just realized the situation had spiraled beyond control. "Who is that?" Maya whispered. The woman didn't take her eyes off the trembling door. "Not someone you want to meet." The pounding grew violent. "Open this door right now!" The deep, furious voice was unmistakable, male, older, and familiar. Maya had heard it earlier in the boardroom. "Gregory Mills, the CFO. He is not supposed to be here," the woman muttered under her breath, almost to herself. Why would the CFO break into a locked office? Why this place, sealed for 16 years? None of it made sense. The woman hurried to a small panel built into the wall beside the door. She punched several buttons, tightening the lock just as Gregory slammed his fist from the other side. "I know she's in there!" he shouted. "You cannot hide her!" Maya flinched. The woman glanced back at her. "Listen carefully," she whispered urgently. "Mr. Bradley is verifying your documents, but someone must have overheard something in the boardroom. Someone knows who you are, and they are not waiting for confirmation." A cold shiver crept up Maya's spine. She wanted to run, but she forced her fear down. "I'm not leaving," she said firmly. "I need to know the truth." The woman nodded quickly, then reached into her jacket and pulled out a small access card. "Take this. It opens the archive room downstairs. Your father used it. If anything happens, go there. There are boxes he left behind." The door rattled violently. Gregory was trying to force it open. "What does he want with me?" Maya whispered. The woman hesitated, then answered with heavy honesty. "Michael Hunt was investigating something before he disappeared. Company funds, corruption, fraud. We never learned how deep it went. But if your claim to his shares is real, you're a threat to anyone involved." Silence, except for the violent shaking of the door. Then Gregory's voice dropped to a chilling tone. "Open this door or I swear you will both regret it." The woman backed toward Maya. "Stay behind me. If he gets in, run to the shelves. There's a back exit, but it locks from the inside. I need to find the code." She rushed to a wall safe, tapping in numbers. Gregory slammed the door one last time. Crack! The lock snapped. "He's breaking in!" the woman gasped. Maya scrambled behind the shelf, gripping the access card so hard her hand ached. The door burst open. Gregory Mills stormed inside, face burning red, eyes full of rage. He spotted Maya instantly. "There she is," he snarled. "The little problem." The woman stepped in front of him. "Stop! She is under Mr. Bradley's protection." Gregory shoved her aside. She stumbled into the desk. Maya froze. "You should have stayed quiet," Gregory growled, advancing. "You should have never come here." He reached for her. "Stop right there." Gregory turned. Charles Bradley stood in the doorway. His expression was not confused, not concerned. It was furious. Charles stepped into the office with a controlled anger that made the entire room shift. His usually calm tone was gone. His voice thundered across the dusty space. "Gregory, step away from her." Gregory stiffened. "Sir, this girl, she cannot be here." "She is lying. We do not even know if the papers are real." Charles took another step forward, closing the distance. "I said step away." Gregory hesitated, then slowly backed off. Not because he respected the order, but because he was calculating, watching, planning his next move. The woman in the black suit rushed to Charles. He tried to force the door. I told him this office was restricted, but he would not listen. Charles gave her a sharp nod, then turned his attention to Maya. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head. "No, just scared." "You should be," he muttered under his breath. Then he raised his voice. "Gregory, what are you doing here?" Gregory wiped sweat from his forehead. "I heard she was brought to this office. I needed to verify something." "Verify what?" Charles asked. Gregory hesitated again. Then his mask slipped. Just a little. "Her claim threatens everything. Your seat, my seat, the board. The balance that has kept this company alive for years. If she is who she says she is, half of everything belongs to her." Charles stared at him. The lines on his face hardened. "And that gives you the right to force your way in here." Gregory pointed at Maya. "She is not supposed to exist. Michael never mentioned a daughter. Never. And if she takes those shares, every decision we made since his disappearance gets re-examined." Maya stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. "Are you afraid of something being found?" Gregory spun toward her. "You have no idea how dangerous this is." Charles held up a hand. "Enough." His tone cut through the tension. Gregory bit his lip and looked away. Charles walked toward Maya's father's desk and placed the old documents on top of it. He looked at her with an expression that was not gentle but not hostile either. More like someone trying to piece together a puzzle they never expected. "Maya," he said, "I sent a team to verify everything. The DNA test is authentic. The signatures match. The court records are sealed but real. And the timeline aligns." Maya swallowed hard. "So you believe me?" Charles exhaled slowly. "I believe you might be telling the truth. And that means you deserve protection, not intimidation." Gregory stepped forward. "Protection from what?" "No one is going to hurt her." Charles lifted one eyebrow. "You just tried to break down a locked door to get to her." Gregory clenched his jaw. "I just wanted answers. Nothing more." Charles turned away, no longer engaging. He walked across the room, examining the dusty books and folders. He picked up one of the boxes labeled with Michael Hunt's initials. Then he said something that sent a chill down Maya's spine. "Your father kept records of something he was investigating. Something he never finished uncovering. If he truly left something behind in this office, we need to find it before someone else does." Gregory stiffened at his words. Charles looked directly at him. "And that includes any executive who might have been involved." Gregory's face drained of color. Maya watched the exchange, her heart racing. She felt something shifting around her. Alliances, secrets, old betrayals. Her father had been digging into something dangerous, something that had not disappeared with him. Charles turned to Maya again. "There is another office I want you to see. Your father used it for private meetings. It is downstairs near the archive room. If he hid anything important, it is there." Before Maya could respond, the woman in the black suit's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and her eyes widened. "Sir, security just reported that someone tried to access the east stairwell. Unauthorized entry. Someone is trying to reach this floor." Charles narrowed his eyes. Gregory stepped back suddenly, his reaction too fast, too anxious. Maya saw it. Charles saw it. The woman saw it. Someone was coming. Someone who knew Maya's identity was now confirmed. Someone who did not want her walking out of this building alive. Charles turned sharply to Maya. "We need to move, now." Charles moved quickly toward the exit of the old office, signaling Maya and the woman in the black suit to follow. Gregory stayed frozen for a moment, then stepped aside without a word. His eyes kept darting toward the hallway like he expected someone to appear at any second. The lights in the corridor flickered as Charles led them out. The atmosphere had changed. It no longer felt like a corporate floor. It felt like a trap waiting to close. Charles lowered his voice. "We are taking the east hallway. It has 2 exits, one to the archives and one to the parking lot tunnel. We will figure out which direction is safer once security updates us." The woman checked her phone. "Again, sir. Whoever tried entering the stairwell used an old access code, one that was disabled years ago." Charles frowned. "Which code?" She hesitated. "Michael Hunt's code?" Maya stopped walking. "That does not make sense. How could anyone use my father's code? It should not even exist in the system." Charles put a hand on her shoulder. "Someone must have restored it manually, which means someone high level." Behind them, footsteps echoed in the distance. Slow, heavy, not in a hurry. More like someone confident they would catch up eventually. Charles tightened his jaw. "Move faster!" They turned the corner, but as soon as they did, Maya felt the hair on her arms rise. A shadow shifted at the far end of the hallway. Not a full figure, just movement, the woman whispered. "Someone is here." Charles pressed a code on a nearby security door, pushing Maya inside a narrow service corridor. It smelled of dust and old metal, a place no executive ever thought about. "Stay behind me," Charles said. The footsteps behind them grew louder, this time clearer. Someone had entered the main corridor they had just left. Maya glanced at Charles. "How many people know about this hallway?" He replied without looking back. "Only me, Michael, and the head of internal security from 16 years ago. And that man does not work here anymore." The corridor led to a metal door with a keypad. The woman stepped forward and entered a long combination. Maya listened to the footsteps behind them. They were getting closer. Not running, just approaching steadily, like the person was enjoying the chase. The lock clicked. The woman pushed the door open. Inside was a freight elevator, old, metal, barely used. Charles said firmly, "Maya, get in." She stepped inside first. Charles followed. The woman hesitated, looking back down the hallway one last time. There, a silhouette, a shape of someone stepping toward them, face hidden by the dim lights. The woman jumped into the elevator and hit the button. The doors closed just as the figure reached the entrance. Maya pressed herself against the wall, breathing hard as the elevator descended. Charles stared straight ahead. "Someone wants you gone," he said quietly. "Not just because of your inheritance. Your father found something, and whatever it was, they want it buried forever." Maya gripped her backpack and whispered back, "Then we need to find it before they find us." The freight elevator rattled as it descended deep into the building. The floors ticked by on a small old display. Most employees did not even know levels below B2 existed. Maya felt her stomach turn as they reached the bottom. Charles stepped out first. "Stay close." The basement was colder, darker, quiet in a way that made every sound stand out. The hallway lights buzzed softly overhead. Dust floated in the stale air. Old filing cabinets lined the walls. Boxes with fading labels sat on metal racks. "Welcome to the part of Peterson Holdings everyone pretends does not exist," Charles said. Maya hugged her arms. "Why are we here?" "Because," Charles replied, "your father spent his last weeks working in this area, and the files he touched have not been opened since the day he disappeared." The woman led them to a reinforced door labeled Archive Room C. The sign underneath read, "Restricted Documents. Authorized personnel only." She swiped a card. The lock released. Inside, the room felt larger than it looked. Rows of shelves stretched across the space. Boxes stacked from floor to ceiling. Old monitors, rolled blueprints, folders tied with red strings. Charles took a flashlight and handed one to Maya. "Start with boxes labeled MH. Your father signed all his personal records with those initials." Maya walked between the shelves, the beam of the flashlight catching dust particles floating like tiny stars. She ran her fingers along the boxes until she saw one. MH11A. She pulled it down and set it on a small metal table. Inside were papers, charts, handwritten notes, bank records, dates circled in black ink. Maya scanned them quickly. "These are financial reports." Charles nodded. "Your father was auditing internal accounts. Someone was moving money out of the company. Large sums, quietly, without approval." Maya focused on a page at the bottom of the stack. One number reappeared again and again. "A specific account, a specific name," she pointed. "Who is this?" Charles leaned closer. His face tightened. "That account belongs to Gregory Mills." Maya felt her pulse spike. He was stealing money. Charles nodded slowly. "And your father must have found out. That is why Gregory panicked when you showed up. If you inherit your father's shares, you gain access to his unfinished investigation." The woman's walkie buzzed suddenly. She answered quickly, then turned pale. "Sir, security cameras on the floor above just went offline. Someone tampered with the system. Whoever followed us is still inside the building." Maya froze. Charles grabbed another box. "We need to move fast. There is more here. Something your father hid that we have not seen yet." He opened the second box. Inside was a small notebook. Maya recognized the handwriting. Her father's. Charles opened to the final page. It read, "If anything happens to me, the truth is inside room 0. Do not trust the board. Do not trust Gregory. Maya whispered softly. "What is room 0? Charles looked up at her, eyes sharp with fear and realization. "It is the one place in this building that nobody is allowed to enter. Not even me." Alexis stood in the center of the conference room, feeling the weight of dozens of eyes on her. The room was filled with the top executives of Peterson Holdings, all waiting to hear her explanation about the new evidence her legal team uncovered. She held the folder tightly in her hands, her knuckles pale from the pressure. Across the table, Richard stared at her with a hardened expression, like he had already decided she was the enemy. Alan Pierce, the company attorney, adjusted the stack of documents in front of him. His voice was steady. "The board requested you provide clarity on these findings. It is important for everyone to understand why we paused the vote on your claim." Alexis nodded. She walked forward and placed her folder on the table. Inside were contracts, emails, and files pulled from a server backup her team had restored. She pointed at a printed message between Richard and 2 board members. "These messages show that Richard tried to remove my father's name from the company's founding documents. After his death." A ripple of shock moved across the room. One executive coughed nervously. Another leaned forward, squinting at the page like he hoped he had misread it. Richard's jaw clenched. "Those documents are taken out of context. This is an attack meant to sabotage me." Alan shook his head slowly. "They were taken directly from our archive storage. No edits, no alterations, and they show intent to hide the existence of Thomas's child." Alexis turned to the board. "My father helped build this company. His legacy was erased. My existence was erased, and all because my uncle believed no one would ever question him." The room grew silent. Her voice, steady and calm, filled the space with a quiet tension. She played a short audio clip her legal team retrieved from an old device found in Thomas's belongings. In the recording, Thomas spoke clearly. "If anything happens to me, make sure my daughter gets her rightful share. Her name is Alexis." Gasps erupted around the table. Richard slammed his hand on the table. "This is ridiculous. Anyone could have faked that recording." Alan raised a hand. "We verified the voice. We also confirmed the timestamps and device authenticity. It is real." Board members exchanged glances, whispers spreading like sparks. Alexis felt a small surge of confidence rise in her chest. For the first time, the power in the room seemed to shift away from Richard. One executive finally spoke up. "If these findings are true, we cannot ignore them. The company has a legal and ethical obligation." Another nodded. "We need to review everything thoroughly." Alexis watched Richard's face tighten. He looked less like a confident CEO and more like a man cornered. She knew he would not back down easily. But now, the truth had room to breathe. Alan closed the folder. "For now, the board will recess to examine the evidence. We will reconvene tomorrow morning." Alexis walked out of the room with her head high, hearing the restless murmurs behind her. She had taken the first real step toward reclaiming what her father left for her. But deep down, she sensed the fight was far from over. Richard would not surrender quietly, and she had no idea what he was planning next. The sky outside Alexis's hotel window was dark, heavy with storm clouds. Flashes of distant lightning lit up the horizon, making her reflection in the glass flicker. She sat on the edge of the bed, trying to calm her racing heart. Tomorrow would decide everything. 16 years of silence, 16 years of not knowing her father's truth. All of it came down to one vote. Her grandmother sat beside her, knitting slowly. "Baby, you need to rest. You have a long day ahead." Alexis tried to smile, but her nerves were too tight. What if they don't believe me? What if Richard finds a way to twist everything again? Her grandmother set her knitting aside and took her hands. "You showed them the truth. You fought with dignity, and your father would be proud of you for that." A soft knock interrupted them. Alexis opened the door to find Alan in the hallway, holding a file. He looked tense. "We might have a problem." Alexis stepped aside so he could enter. "What happened?" Alan placed the file on the table. "I think Richard is preparing something. We intercepted a message he sent to a private investigator 2 days ago. He may be trying to discredit you before the final vote." Her throat tightened. "How?" Alan hesitated. "The investigator was hired to dig into your background, your school, your neighborhood, your mother's past. Anything he can twist to paint you as unworthy." Anger burned in her chest. "So he wants to bury the truth again, just like he did with my father." Alan nodded slowly. "We need to be prepared. He will reveal something tomorrow, but we do not know what." Alexis paced the room, her hands trembling. Every insecurity she had ever tried to hide surged back. Her old apartment, her mother scrubbing floors at night, the classmates who made fun of her clothes, the money struggles. She had fought her whole life to be seen, and now her uncle wanted to use that life against her. Her grandmother stood up. "Let him try. Your truth is stronger than any lie he throws." Alexis took a deep breath. "You are right. If he wants a fight, I will give him one." Alan gathered his papers. "I will prepare the counter-arguments. But you need to stay composed tomorrow. The board will watch every reaction." Alexis nodded, though anxiety tightened her chest. As Alan left, she turned back to the window. A heavy rumble of thunder shook the sky. She whispered to herself, "Dad, I hope I am strong enough for this." Her grandmother wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "You already are." Alexis rested her head against her grandmother, watching the storm roll across the city. For the first time, she truly understood the weight of what tomorrow meant. She was no longer just fighting for a seat in a boardroom. She was fighting for her identity, her father's dignity, and the future she deserved. And as the storm grew louder, she felt a quiet determination settle inside her. No matter what Richard brought to the table, she would walk in with her head high. The boardroom felt colder than ever. Alexis entered with her grandmother and Alan beside her. The executives sat stiffly, faces unreadable. At the head of the table stood Richard, smirking with quiet confidence. Alan whispered, "Stay calm. He'll speak first." The chairman addressed the room. "Before we proceed, Mr. Richard Peterson has requested to present new information." Richard stepped forward, holding a slim folder. "The board deserves to know who this girl really is before handing her any claim to this company." He opened the file. Her mother was a cleaning lady with financial issues. She grew up in a high-crime neighborhood, and she's been suspended from school twice. A ripple of murmurs moved across the table. Alexis felt her fist tighten. Richard looked around dramatically. "This is not leadership material. This is a liability." Alan stood immediately. Her suspensions were for defending others. And her background? It proves she's stronger and more determined than anyone here. Her challenges shaped her, they didn't break her. A board member asked, "And her father's documents?" Alan handed over a thick binder. "Fully verified." The chairman read a few pages, his expression thoughtful. Then he looked at Alexis. "Miss Williams, would you like to speak?" Alexis stepped forward. Her voice was soft but steady. "My father built this company. When he died, I lost him and the truth. I didn't come for money. I came because he believed one day I would stand here. I faced hardship, yes, but it taught me how to fight. I'm ready to honor his legacy." Silence settled over the room. The chairman nodded. "We will vote." Hands rose around the table, some slow, some firm. Finally, he announced, "The board recognizes Alexis Williams as the rightful heir." Tears filled her eyes. Her grandmother squeezed her hand. Alan smiled. Richard's face darkened. Alexis had won. Her story was only beginning.